right, hello everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Earth's Mightiest Comics. This is a special bonus episode, little mini episode thing that we're going to be doing just to talk about the stuff from the Free Comic Book Day 2024 this year, which was Saturday, May 4th. So this is. I mean, if you read comics, you probably already know about this. But to anybody who doesn't know about this, this is they do this every year. It's always the first Saturday of May is Free Comic Book Day, and so you can go into the shop, and typically the way shops will do it is like you can pick three, and each studio will give kind of a bunch of specialized. They'll make a few special little promotional Free Comic Book Day issues for people to read. Typically, it's like they're split up into a couple of different stories, each about like 10 pages long or so. Basically designed to be like not real stories fully, because they don't want to like just make these. You know, they don't want to make their main like comics just free for anybody, but these are kind of small little like teases to be like, hey, let's get people excited so then they can buy, you know, the upcoming stuff. It's absolutely just like a big marketing tactic, but ultimately, like, I don't really care because it also does like bring business to local shops and everything, and that's all good. So we're gonna be talking about between the two of us, we're gonna be talking about 4 today. Sebastian read 3, I read 4, and we are gonna start with the Blood Hunt / X-Men issue here. So there's 2 stories in this one. The first one is written by Jed MacKay and the artist is Sarah Pichelli, and then the second one is written by Gail Simone and the artist is David Marquez. So the first one is just the Blood Hunt prelude. Weird, kind of. It is a little bit weird that, and I get why, like, if they had to put out Blood Hunt at a specific week or something to schedule it and structure it and everything. Like, I guess it kind of makes sense, but this issue takes place before Blood Hunt #1, but came out a couple days after. So as a result, I was just talking about this with Sebastian right before we hit record. It does feel like it doesn't really do anything, and like we don't have much to say on it because it, again, takes place before an issue that we already read. But it's essentially, it's a look at a couple of the heroes as they go around you know, having these confrontations with Dark Force users as particularly Spider-Man has kind of a fight with a Dark Force user.
Yes.
And then that dude blows up into the Dark Force portal. And then so it kind of shows the other heroes kind of reacting to that a little bit as well. So we have, I remember there's Reed and Sue are part of that. Daredevil gets a few pages, and I think it's the only other one is Bloodline, I think, who's Blade's daughter, and then she runs into Dracula, and Dracula's like, "Yo, this is a problem. We need to figure this out. Come with me, and let's try to solve this." So I will say I didn't mind the first story here. I think it was like solid. Again, like, yes, it absolutely does not do jack shit for the story because. Again, it's not supposed to be essential, and also it does take place after an issue that we had already read. However, I will say, Daredevil gets a feature for about 2 pages already, because the writer of this, Jed MacKay, he was the favorite to start to write the current Daredevil run. Like, most people that I kind of knew of were really throwing his name in the hat to take over from Chip Zdarsky. And I was always like, yeah, he'd probably do a good job, and it feels like kind of an obvious choice. I kind of wanted them to go a little bit different way. But now, having like read that 2-page little Daredevil section, that 2 pages is better than pretty much most of the current Daredevil run. I think Matt got written really well there. So now I was like, fuck, maybe we should have had Jed on Daredevil. And then the second story is Jubilee's going to the X Mansion. They have kind of transformed it into some other facility. And so Jubilee's there. She's kind of like nostalgic and wistful. And then there's some other people there, and they're like, yo, we are going to fucking kill all the X-Men. And let's go and visit our captive hostage person. And it's probably Jean Grey. And she's in like the Cerebro room, it looks like. So that's kind of what that one is. So... yeah, I mean, again, this is weird. So this X-Men part is clearly like kind of starting to just build up the new era of X-Men stuff, which I was excited for at one point. The more I've learned about that new X-Men stuff, the less excited I've been getting. But like, I'm still gonna give it a chance, and the story was okay. And I like Gail Simone as a writer, like genuinely, I think she's a very solid writer. But that story I just kind of thought was okay. And then the Blood Hunt story I liked, but again, yeah, it kind of is already stuff that was not really necessary because we already knew a lot of it. So I don't know. I think this is a solid enough little thing. If as a thing to hype people up for Blood Hunt, when if people who have not read that first issue already, I think this worked fine. And if you were already reading Bloodhunt, then you obviously wouldn't need this to sell you on it. But yeah, I think it was fine for what it was, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, Bloodhunt was fine. I mean, it's like we said, like we had already read Bloodhunt #1, so it kind of really, like, the only one I felt like really made a difference was the Dracula one, but that's simply because we know that he and what's her name? Bloodline is they're gonna get like an issue here in this series. I mean, I guess all of them are, actually, because Fantastic Four is also getting their own little tidbit thing. But I don't know. I felt like that one was like the most impactful, if anything, like moved along the story the most. Because the rest of it seemed like beforehand. Like Daredevil's was like taking place during, which, like you said, it was very well. It was actually written very well. Just the way he was like kind of like brooding on a rooftop, and then just like being like, I don't feel the sun anymore. Like it's that means like this, like the day turned into night, something like that, and like vampires came out. Just the monologue was just like super serious, and it felt like old Daredevil to me. I don't know. And then the Spidey one was very Spidey. It was just him clobbering and making fun of some dude.
Yeah.
And then he just turns into a giant portal, and Spider-Man is just like, "Yep, this is just my luck." Yeah. And then the X-Men one, I'm so lost on X-Men at this point. Honestly.
Don't worry, we'll get you up to speed when it like really starts in July.
Like, I know who Jubilee is, obviously. Yep. What the Midnight Mission, is that what she mentioned on to the other mutant in the diner? Is that what it is?
Well, the Midnight Mission is a thing, but that's like Moon Knight's
that's right.
Little thing he's doing. Yeah, so I don't think that's what she mentioned.
No. They mentioned something. It was an organization that Jubilee. I don't remember what it was. I thought it was with an M. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. Pretty good, I guess.
Are you gonna score it?
Should I score this? I don't even know.
I scored all of them. I don't know. I scored this a 7. I'm going to drop it to a 6, though.
Well, I'm going to give it a 7 then.
Okay. So you know what? I'll just do the Energon Universe one now. This is my free comic book day pick of the day, pick of the year, whatever you want to call it for this year's free comic book day. It is the Energon Universe 2024 special. So we have 3 stories in this one. The first one is a Transformers story that's written by Daniel Warren Johnson, and the artist is Ryan Ottley, who is probably best well known for his for being the main artist for most of Invincible. We also have a Void Rival story from Robert Kirkman, and the artist on that is Lorenzo De Felici, so that is the creative team for that. And then there's a G.I. Joe one with Joshua Williamson as a writer and Jason Howard as the artist. So the Transformers one is the first one. It's good. I liked it quite a bit. It starts out being kind of set in the past, and we see the Megatron and Optimus Prime fight that led to Megatron being taken by Cobra Law. So we see them fight, and Optimus kind of like pushes them out of the big ship thing, and Megatron's like, "Starscream, help me!" And Starscream's like, "Sorry, boss, I'm gonna be the leader now," and he lets him fall. And then Megatron falls down, and he gets taken by Cobra Law. And then we see him wake up, so this is presumably present day. He like beats up a bunch of people in Cobra Law, and he gets one of his arms back. Obviously, Optimus has his other one, but he gets the one arm that's still at Cobra Law back, busts out of Cobra Law, and then he's in the Arctic. So that's where that one ends. Okay. The second one, we have Skutzoid from Void Rivals. He's talking to somebody, and this guy's like, "Where are the Quintessons?" And then turns out the person that Skutzoid is talking to is Hot Rod. Oh. So Hot Rod is there. Yeah. And he's asking where the Quintessons are, and he's talking about how he's looking for an old friend. I assumed he meant Jetfire, but I don't know if that's actually correct. Because he was saying something like, "Yeah, one of my friends was kind of out here recently, and I'm trying to find where he is." So I just immediately thought of Jetfire, because like he's the one that has had the most prominent run-in with them so far. But so there's that. And Sketchfoot is like, "Yeah, fuck it, I'll tell you. I mean, I don't really have any loyalty to the Quintessons at all, so like whatever." And then we have the G.I. Joe story where Duke goes and recruits the Baroness to the team. So Hawk is initially kind of unsure about this. He's like, "I don't know if it's a good idea, Duke." And Duke is like, "Listen, you brought me on to give you these like outside the box ideas. Let me help Baroness and like convert her to our team. Because if we don't do it, someone else is going to do it." Hawk's like, "Okay." So Duke goes, recruits Baroness. And then at the end, we see Hawk talking to somebody else. And he's like, "Are you going to tell Duke?" And Hawk's like, "No, I'm not going to tell Duke." And this other guy's like, "Well, like, why wouldn't you tell him? Like, we ended up recruiting Baroness. Like, that was the goal all along." And Hawk is like, yeah, but Duke cannot be allowed to know that we're building 2 teams. So that's the G.I. Joe one. And all across the board, just like they were all really solid. I liked all of them. I think like I was actually most interested in both the Void Rivals and the G.I. Joe stuff, because the G.I. Joe stuff I'm like, whoa, they're building another team. That sounds interesting. Like, what's going on there? And the Void Rivals one, I'm like, whoa, what's like Hot Rod up to? What's he doing? Are we gonna see Rodimus Prime? I know I asked that question like a couple months ago in a Transformers one, and so like we don't really kind of know what's going on with him. Like the Transformers one was good, don't get me wrong. But it was also like, well, okay, Megatron, big fight, cool, that's good. But we also like, and now Megatron's like on Earth, but like we kind of know how that's gonna go. Probably like Megatron's gonna run into the other Transformers and chaos will ensue. Yeah. Whereas the other two, I'm not quite as sure like where they're kind of gonna end up. So anyway, just really good across the board. I liked all of them, and I gave us one an 8 overall, and I think it was good.
Let's talk about the next one from the Free Comic Book Day. We'll talk about the Absolute Power one. Is this the only DC one? I don't know.
No, but this is the only one that like is kind of important to their continuity stuff. Because they had like a big Bardo one and some other one as well, like a Mad magazine, and they were, I think, like kind of parody comic stuff. So
okay.
This is the Absolute Power Free Comic Book Day special edition, the prelude to the epic event, as it says. I didn't like this. I thought this was not very good. It's written by Mark Waid. The artist is Mikel Janin. This just felt like so nothing to me. Like all of this information, I felt like we kind of already had. And I get that the point of this event is to drum up hype for people who's not already reading stuff, right? And so they don't want to like reveal any major plot points until the main series. But still, I don't feel like this had like anything, because it's just like this one dude is being led around like Amanda Waller's facility area by Clock King, and essentially he's there to he's an electricity guy. He's there to try to like power up a thing, and so he tries to power up the thing, and it doesn't work, and he dies. And Waller's like, damn it, this is like the 5th guy we've tried on this. I guess we're just going to have to get another electricity person in here to try this. And then Waller goes and talks to Dreamer and is like, hey, tell me again. Like, I'm going to ask you again, Dreamer, do I win? And Dreamer is like not answering, but we see the vision that she is having. And it's all the DC heroes like just completely captured and being like led through the streets and everything in this apocalyptic like wasteland. And that's kind of it. I just thought it was nothing. Like, there's Failsafe was kind of in it too, I guess.
Kinda.
Well, he is in it. He just doesn't do much, is what I'm saying. So, like, I don't know. Like, it was just like, it just felt like such a nothing issue to me. I was just like, this really did not. If I wasn't already going to read Absolute Power, this would not have hyped me up for the issue at all.
I mean, I don't know. It didn't hype me up, but I felt like it did help. I don't know if it helped explaining anything. I don't know, but like, I mean, yeah, it definitely didn't. I mean, it still hasn't explained really what like Waller's plan is. Like, we know the general gist of it, obviously, but we don't know like the minutia, you know?
Yeah.
And we got a little bit more on that, considering like this literally the thing it kind of looks like a drone in a way. I don't know. I don't even know how you would explain this. It's like a Mario magic mushroom looking thing. But yeah, they're trying to like open it with electricity, and I guess instead of like at first it starts siphoning their electricity, but then it like converts it and like basically redirects it back at the people. And so that's why they keep dying, I guess, or something like that, if I remember correctly. But yeah, that's the final thing that they need. And I guess with Brainiac, towards the end, Failsafe talks about a spaceship coming into orbit, and I assume that's Brainiac. I'm not sure.
Yeah, right. I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah. And so he says, Failsafe says that like on that ship is like what they need to like basically finish the plan.
Right.
So that's that's kind of where it's going next, is just House of Brainiac back to there, I guess. But yeah, this is like I didn't realize how much power Waller has, and it's kind of like shown in this episode. Like, she basically owns everything.
Yeah.
Kind of ridiculous. Like, how nobody has really been like,
Well, they've tried. I think she was just so like in the shadows doing a bunch of this stuff behind the scenes that they were kind of unable to stop her until it was too late.
Yeah, because like she literally owns like every single super meta prison, which is the one that surprised me the most. I was like, Jesus. But yeah, I mean, realistically, it hasn't really shown anything else that we didn't really already know. But yeah, I don't know. Failsafe looking snazzy.
Yeah.
I give it a 6.
Yeah, it's a 6 for me as well. And that would lead into the last one that we're going to be talking about in this little mini episode here, and that is Free Comic Book Day 2024 Ultimate Universe / Spider-Man. So 3 stories in this one. One of them is the first one is the Spider-Man story written by Zeb Wells, and the artist is Ryan Steadman, I think. Yeah, Ryan Steadman is the artist. The second one is written by Denise Camp, and the artist is Juan Fridery. And the third one is written by Al Ewing, and the artist is Iban Coelho. So the first one might be my favorite of the 3, actually. It's the Spider-Man is at this restaurant, like on a date or something. He's not a Spider-Man, he's just Peter.
Yeah.
And it's like this weird like Chuck E. Cheese knockoff kind of thing.
It's just the first story is just Spider-Man versus Five Nights at Freddy's. Like
yeah, pretty much. He got kind of lured there, not knowing what was going on, and so then all the animatronics start like shouting "Target Peter Parker," and they start going after him. So he fights them all as Spider-Man, but then at the end, he's essentially like, why the hell are all these animatronics fighting me? And one of them's like, we're not trying to fight you, we're trying to warn you.
Yes.
And then Norman Osborn shows up and pulls the plug on everything, and he's like, everybody okay? Peter, are you okay? Because for those who don't know, who have not been reading the Spider-Man run, they have been like teaming up for the past little while now, Norman and Peter, because Norman is no longer the Green Goblin.
Yes.
And so then Peter's like, that was weird. Well, I don't know what that was about. And Norman was like, thank God we got to him in time and stopped that animatronic from talking to him. Then the second one was the Ultimate Universe one. This is setting up the Ultimates, which is the next title launching in June. The Ultimates are essentially the Ultimate Universe version of the Avengers. So in this we have Doctor Doom, Captain America, and Tony Stark,
Iron Lad,
Tony Stark, all going to do a mission. Thor and Sif are not there. They're probably on Asgard doing some stuff. But so they're breaking into one of the Matrix facilities, and Cap keeps saying, like, we need this guy. And Tony's like, I mean, we could, like, take there's a bunch of other people that we could kind of recruit that would probably be more useful for us. But Cap's like, no, this guy's an old war buddy of mine. We're gonna get this guy out of here. So they do a big fight with some, like, robots or something.
I think they were called the Hand, if I remember correctly.
Oh yeah, they are the Hand, right? Which is for anybody who doesn't know, they in 616 are the ninja cult that is the enemy of Daredevil. This is not the same. They're not the ninja cult, but they are clearly based off them. And then they beat them, and they go and they get the Human Torch, except it's not Fantastic Four, Johnny Storm Human Torch. It is the original android Human Torch from the 30s, Jim Hammond. So yeah, that's where that one ends. And then Venom War is essentially just the third story is a Venom story setting up Venom War, which is coming in August. And that one, I don't remember too much of it, but it's essentially like Dylan Brock is there and he's getting a vision because he was talking about how he talked to the big hand. This is the thing. Because I know you're not caught up on Venom. Venom's gotten fucking weird. And there's like a big hand, a disembodied Venom hand that is the like future final evolved form of Eddie Brock. And it like knows everything, and it always like asks you 5 questions. So Dylan recently talked to that guy, and he was saying like, I forget what his questions were, but so he asked the hand something, and the hand was like, "You'll know when you're older," essentially. And it's also like, you're gonna have to fight and probably kill your dad. And then the very end, Dylan is like, "Well, do I know when I'm older? Like, what do you know what to do?" And then we cut to like future, like pretty much Cable version of Venom. Or of Dylan, who's like, yeah, don't worry, kid, sit this one out. I got this. I know what to do. And that's where that one ends. I think all 3 of these were fine. I am not caught up on either Spider-Man or Venom right now. I think I kind of am close enough on them, though, where I was able to kind of figure most of this stuff out. The Venom one, I think, is really interesting, but again, that out of context, all of Al Ewing's Venom run is nonsense out of context. So I think I need to kind of see how that fits in before I can kind of make a judgment on that. But I think that Spider-Man was actually like a fun kind of one-off story, even on its own merits, even without the build up to Norman becoming the Green Goblin again. And then the Ultimates one, I think, was fine. That was written by Denise Camp, who's going to be the writer on the Ultimates series when that launches. So I am interested that Jim Hammond is the version of the torch they're using for this.
Mm-hmm.
I think like the team lineup could be interesting, but right now it's like Captain America and Iron Man and Thor, like the big 3 being on there is kind of like, well, that's like, that's not a very unique choice for it. But like a version of Reed Richards that's Dr. Doom being on the team, and and Jim Hammond being on the team are moves that I think are very interesting. So from that perspective, I'm excited to kind of see where all these storylines go. Again, I'm still working through Spider-Man and Venom, so I'm not gonna get there for a while. But the Ultimate stuff I'm also interested in, and just overall, I think this was a pretty solid issue. So yeah, I think it was not bad.
No, yeah, I think the Ultimates is pretty good. I was
Super interested in like the background relics, because where they called it damage control, but like this universe's version of damage control, which is essentially just the makers. It's not like damage control that we know.
Right.
It's just basically like a super secret facility that the maker has, where he kept like basically all like
the supers that he like essentially destroyed in a sense. And so we saw like a couple that I recognized at least was, Black Bolt. His dead baby corpse is there.
Yeah.
We also saw Logan's like skeleton, adamantium skeleton. And then I noticed the Sentry's like costume. Those are like the three that I recognized. There's like a couple others that I just didn't know of. But I thought those are. I was like, oh dang, that's kind of cool to like see. And I didn't know this Human Torch like android thing. So it's a robot. So it's like the Vision in a sense, or
yeah, kind of. And actually, there was a point in the 70s where they retconned it to make it so that the Vision's body is actually Jim Hammond's body, and they just uploaded like Wonder Man's conscience into it.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I think that probably got retconned again, I would assume, since everything gets retconned all the time. But that was. So yeah, that he is similar to Vision in that sense.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, and then the last panel we see kind of like the team lineup, except most of them are like kind of grayed out. Obviously, I mean I can tell Black Panther's back there.
Yep.
But the others you just really can't tell. But yeah, and then the Venom one, yeah, I don't know. It was something.
Yep.
I don't
yeah.
I don't really have a lot to say on that one. It was just like I was just like, okay, yeah, that's how that kind of like panning out.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not caught up, so I don't really know. I don't really have much of an opinion on that one. Same with Spider-Man. I'm just at this point, I don't know about Spider-Man either. It was a cool little fight scene. I guess it was a fun little fight scene, honestly.
Yeah.
Just seeing Spider-Man go up against animatronics, but Norman is still just an enigma to me, because like sometimes he's supposed to be good, but he just does stuff that just like really makes you think like whether or not he is, and it's just,
so
I don't know. Yeah.
At the point that I'm at, and I am still like 15-ish issues behind, but the point where I'm at is an arc where they imbue, because what happened, the reason Norman is no longer the Green Goblin is a couple years back in the previous run, a villain called Sin Eater came along, and he essentially absorbed all of Norman's sins and transferred them into this therapist whose name is Ashley Kafka, who became the Goblin Queen. So Norman no longer had the sins of the Green Goblin in him, and so he just became Norman Osborn again and became good. And then so in this arc that I'm reading, the Goblin Queen teams up with Kraven the Hunter and imbues those sins into a spear, and then is trying to like stab those back into Norman to make him the Green Goblin again. Except at the last second, Peter jumped in front of Norman and got stabbed himself, and then he got the sins of the Goblin. That's the point that I'm up to, but I'm assuming after that they somehow get transferred back into Norman, and then so he's kind of been fighting that for the past couple issues, is what I think is kind of going on there.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna give this a 7 though. I thought this was pretty good. I think this is the second best of Free Comic Book Day, and it's the best thing that Marvel put out this year for that.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there. 7 at least. And I don't know. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, that's what that would be all for this little special mini episode. I'm not gonna do a typical outro of like what we're talking about next week, because I kind of did that in the last like core episode. But we'll be back with our normal episodes coming up next time. And other than that, again, like as always, thank you for watching or listening to the episode, whether you're on YouTube or Spotify or whatever. You can do all the cool analytics things like subscribe and bell notification the YouTube video and stuff like that. And you can let us know what your favorite Free Comic Book Day issue was in the comments if you would like to. We also have an email address where you can get in contact with us. It's earthsmightiestcomicspod@gmail.com. That's all one word. And then you can follow the show over on Spotify as well. So, yeah, thanks again, everybody, for listening. As always, we'll see you in the next one.